Night, Yuya teleports back to his house to check up on Knight. Using some food from his storage, he quickly fixes Knight some dinner. As he watches Knight eat, he thinks about how he enjoys making others happy with his food. He teleports back to the camp, where everyone is taking a shower together. Everyone stares at him, and Yuya wonders what's going on. Akira points out his body is ridiculous, and Yuya wonders what's wrong with it. But Akira can't believe how good-looking he is, as well as being insanely ripped. Meanwhile, in the girls' bathroom, Rin teases Kaide, saying all the boys must be into her, but they run into Kaori and mention how Sawada wanted to marry Yuya. Kaori is surprised hearing this, and the girls think Sawada has a certain advantage. Kaide seems to be inspired to make a move on Yuya as well. Kaori wonders if she is into Yuya, but she quickly denies it. Rin thinks she is too obvious, but Kaori wonders about Yuya's preference in girls. The next morning, some of the students find their belongings trashed, wondering if it might have been a thief. Akira has a worried look, while Yuya checks that all their belongings are still there. The group decides to look around for breakfast, but Akira gets scared, seeing scratch markings on a tree. Yuya remembers how Akira said he was used to lure away bears, and he realizes what's going on. As he looks around, the bear suddenly appears before the girls, and they quickly run away. The bear chases after them, and all the students panic. Sawada signals the group to take cover with her. The bear runs into the table, and Sawada tells them to get to safety. As they run, Sawada falls down, and the bear lunges at her, but Yuya gets in the way. He wrestles with the bear, throwing it to the ground and knocking it out. He checks up on Sawada, who tells him she would normally lecture him about fighting a bear, but since he saved her life, she decides to let him off the hook, even offering to marry him once again, which he politely declines. Yuya wonders what's going to happen to the bear, and Kaori ends up explaining they will take it in as a guard bear, and if it attacks people again, they will just eat him, and the bear seems to understand. So the issue is resolved, and the camping trip comes to an end. Back at his house, we see that Yuya is scheduled to meet the king in the other world, with Lexia on the way to meet him. He finds a group of demons in the forest, thinking it would be bad if Lexia's group ran into them, so he decides to take them out. Knight slashes at one of them, and Yuya throws his spear, but the demon catches it. So he swaps to a hammer, which completely squishes the demon, while clearing the area around him, causing him to be impressed by the sage's weapons once again. The demon drops an interesting-looking helmet, and Yuya tries it on, but we see a strange-looking rabbit that watches him, thinking he is the one, but Lexia's party approaches. Owen is worried seeing him, and Yuya realizes it's because of his helmet, so he quickly takes it off, and they are glad to see him once again. They ask if he is ready to meet the king, and they formally invite him to join them to the palace, but Knight suddenly jumps on Lexia, as a tree suddenly falls, and Yuya slashes it in half. Yuya notices the threads that Luna would use, and realizes Knight was protecting the princess. Owen wonders what is going on, and we see Luna cursing herself for failing, but as she tries to get away, she is attacked by Yuya and gets knocked out. Yuya is surprised that it's really Luna, and Lexia joins him, wondering who she is. He tells her Luna was the one who tried to attack her, and he realizes Knight knew all along. Yuya asks to heal her wounds and take her back to his house, so he can ask her what is going on, not wanting to believe she is a bad person. Lexia grants his request, as Owen comes rushing over, telling her not to run off on her own, but she tells him she is going to pay a visit to Yuya's house. Yuya wonders if she is sure, and Lexia says she is also curious about why she was attacked, and about the relationship he has with her. So Yuya decides to use his teleportation to get back faster, and Owen is left behind. Lexia is surprised by the teleportation, and they wait for Luna to wake up. Yuya explains how he met Luna in the forest, and how they even trained together, but Lexia is more interested in the teleportation spell he used to get back to the house. Yuya says he just thought about using magic for transportation, and just ended up creating it. Lexia can't believe him, and tells him that teleportation magic is regarded as something from a fairy tale, and there has never been anyone who was confirmed to be able to use it. She warns him that if anyone were to find out he can use it, it could even lead to a war, so she makes him promise not to use it in front of people without thinking first. She suddenly calls out Luna, asking her how long she intends to pretend to sleep. Luna gets up, realizing she is busted. And Lexia notes how Yuya also knew she was faking, but he was just being nice and playing along. Lexia asks her about her story, but Luna thinks there is no point and tells her to just kill her. But Yuya asks about her story as well, so Luna explains how she was an orphan that scavenged just to survive, but she was eventually taken in by a man who taught her how to read and write, as well as the ways of assassination, and she eventually joined the Dark Guild. Yuya is curious about the Dark Guild, and Lexia explains they are an organization responsible for orchestrating all kinds of crimes. Luna goes on to say how she has completed countless assassinations, and even became known as the Headhunter. Lexia is surprised hearing this, having heard of the name. Yuya wonders if Knight knew all along, and he realizes that that was the reason why he was aggressive toward her in the beginning. Luna reveals her assignment to assassinate Lexia, but now that she has failed, her death is guaranteed, because she will either get executed, or the Dark Guild will send assassins after her for her failure. Yuya gets worried for her, but Luna wonders why he cares, since they only spent a brief time together. But Yuya says that even though their time together was short, it meant a lot to him, so he sees her as a friend. Luna thinks it's already too late for her, but Lexia interrupts, telling her to work for her instead, and become her bodyguard. Luna wonders what she is saying, and Lexia explains that since only she and Yuya know about the assassination attempt, they can just keep it a secret, and if she is the princess's guard, it would be harder for the Dark Guild to get to her. Luna thinks she is insane, saying she is a criminal, thinking of all the people she has killed, and that her hands are stained with blood. But Lexia tells her she has pretty hands, wondering how they are so soft, and she says it was thanks to Yuya's bath. She continues to decline, but Lexia tells her off, saying that since she failed to kill her, she is the loser, and must now follow her orders, and Luna has no choice but to accept the job. Meanwhile, we see Owen as he and his soldiers are running away from goblins. His men can't keep going, so they are forced to retreat, and leave Lexia's protection up to Yuya. Luna can't believe how things turned out, thinking Lexia is a tyrant, but as her first order, she demands to hear more about Yuya's bath. So Luna explains that Yuya has a rare bath item that can create a bath anywhere and helps with recovering from fatigue, but it also has positive effects on beauty. Lexia thinks it sounds incredible, demanding to use it as well. She decides to take a bath with Luna, inviting Yuya to join them as well, but he nervously declines, and she calls it a shame. The girls enjoy the bath together, finding it relaxing, but Lexia suddenly asks if Luna likes Yuya, and Luna says they are just friends. Lexia says she can tell she likes him, but Luna denies it, telling her she is imagining things. So Lexia tells her her plan to marry him, and Luna objects to the idea. Lexia points out she shouldn't have a problem if they were just friends, and Luna isn't sure how she feels. But Lexia suddenly issues her a declaration of war, saying she is definitely in love with Yuya, so they will battle over him, and she will be the winner if she can marry Yuya. Luna is confused hearing this, but thinking about Yuya getting taken away, she accepts the battle, wanting Yuya for herself, and Lexia declares that from that moment, Luna will be both her guard and her rival. After their bath, Yuya thinks they should make some dinner. Lexia offers to cook, but she struggles trying to cut a single potato, even losing her knife, and almost causing an accident, so Yuya ends up cooking the meal instead. The girls find the food delicious, and Lexia compliments him, but Luna gets jealous seeing this, and asks Yuya to feed her, saying that she has trouble moving because her wounds aren't fully healed. Yuya thinks about how hard he hit her, so he agrees with the request. But as she eats it, she smirks at Lexia, who also gets jealous, and demands to be fed as well. Yuya says she isn't injured, but Lexia uses her authority as princess to command him, and he has no choice but to comply. At night, the girls sleep together, and Yuya is exhausted, but thinks it was a good time. The next day, they meet back up with Owen and his men, and Yuya apologizes for leaving him behind. Owen wonders about their companions, and Yuya introduces Knight once again. Owen thanks him for saving Lexia the previous day, and he goes on to wonder about Luna's identity. Lexia bluntly explains how she was an assassin that tried to kill her, but will now be working as her guard. Everyone is shocked hearing this, and Luna can't believe how quickly she revealed her secret. Owen immediately has her surrounded, but Lexia tells him to stand down. Owen refuses, saying she can't be trusted. but Lexia mentions how they slept together, so if Luna wanted to kill her, she would already be dead. Owen eventually gives in, but says they will keep an eye on her. Yuya suddenly interrupts, saying he can no longer go with them to the palace, since they spent an extra day back at the house. He doesn't have the time to make the trip, thinking he needs to go back to school. So Owen tells him to visit whenever he gets the chance, telling him he can follow the road to a village, where he should be able to get directions to the capital. Lexia says goodbye to him, telling him to visit soon, but Luna suddenly runs back to Yuya, giving him a kiss and thanking him for everything he has done for her. Lexia is devastated, demanding to go back so she can also kiss him, but Owen just pretends not to hear her and continues on their way. Yuya thinks about the kiss, wondering if she likes him, but he ends up taking a bath to relax. He suddenly realizes there is a strange creature that snuck in, and he gets a notification saying he has just tamed it. The creature is confused by this, but finds it acceptable, and Yuya thinks about checking its stats, but he finds his appraisal skill has leveled up, allowing him to see the skills that it knows. He sees that it has a skill called Holy Ground, and asks to see what it can do. The creature creates a field of light around them, and it seems to give Yuya a buff. Yuya is impressed, and decides to give it a name. Looking at its appearance, he decides to call it Akatsuki. Night reminds him about the time, and Yuya quickly rushes back to school. During their class, Sawada announces they are having a ball game competition, with the results affecting her bonus, so she tells them to do their best. The first event is soccer, and their class is divided up into 2 teams. Yuya plays as goalkeeper, since he doesn't really know the rules. When the game begins, Ryo is a beast, taking on the opposing team by himself and managing to score. Kaide is impressed, but Rin tells her they have a second secret weapon, telling her to jump. As she jumps up and down, all the guys are distracted, and Akira manages to steal the ball from Ryo. Akira has a morale boost, and Rin realizes her plan backfired. Akira gets past everyone, shooting his shot, but Yuya stops it in an instant, and everyone is shocked at his movement. He wonders what he should do with the ball, and Ryo tells him to just throw it as hard as he can. So Yuya gives it a go, and ends up throwing it straight into the other goal, wondering if he scored a point. After school, Yuya gets approached by a modeling agency, inviting him to join the industry, but he quickly declines. The chief is shocked he isn't interested, but Yuya says he is already enjoying himself at the school. Miyu shows up trying to convince him as well, and his friends are shocked by how he knows the model. Yuya explains he just happened to work with her once, and they are shown the cover of an upcoming magazine where they are together. A poster for their sport competition suddenly lands near them, and Kaori comes chasing after it. But the chief suddenly gets an idea, thinking they could do an article on the school and photograph Yuya through the event, so she leaves to go and get approval from the school. In the other world, Yuya defeats a skeleton monster, but he thinks he hasn't been able to get any stronger. He decides to head even deeper into the forest, and he finds an area filled with hard black trees, which are extremely tough and unable to be even scratched by normal attacks. He suddenly wonders how Akatsuki got so big, but Akatsuki is actually behind him, and he gets attacked by a mithril boar. Yuya tries to heal himself, but the boar attacks him again. He thinks he is in trouble, and the boar charges at him, but the boar is suddenly sent flying, as a strange rabbit suddenly appears. It introduces himself as Usagi, and Yuya is surprised it can talk. The boar gets back up, but Usagi destroys it in an instant, and Yuya is shocked at how he even destroyed the surrounding trees. He checks out its stats, and sees he is insanely strong, with all kinds of titles. Yuya thanks him for his help, and the rabbit asks him to show him his kick. Yuya demonstrates his kick, and Usagi sees potential in him. Usagi shows off his kick, blowing a hole through multiple trees, and he starts training Yuya to do the same. After a while, Yuya manages to destroy one of the trees, and he moves on to sparring with Usagi. Yuya wonders why he is being trained, and Usagi reveals it's because he wants him to be his successor. He explains that he is known as a divine, and it's his duty to pass on his techniques. He reveals that divine is a title given to those who have mastered a certain field, and he is the divine kicker. Their job is to protect the world from the vile, who are beings that are the manifestations of the negative aspects of the world. Yuya wonders if he has a choice in becoming his disciple, and Usagi tells him he can refuse, but he mentions the fight against the Vile is inevitable, so they need as many allies as possible. Yuya prefers not to become a divine, but he thinks about how he wants to be able to protect Night and Akatsuki. Usagi decides to continue training him anyway, but asks to learn magic from him, since he is impressed by the barrier around his house, although Yuya thinks about how that was just the sage's work, but they come to a deal where they will exchange knowledge. We see Yuya as he gets chased by a King Metro boar. Usagi thinks it's a good chance for Yuya to have a rematch. Yuya struggles against it, but using his kicks, and together with his whip, he manages to defeat it. Yuya celebrates his victory, and finds it dropped a number of SS ranked items. Usagi explains that there are triple S ranked and EX ranked monsters in the world, and the Vile are even stronger at the legendary rank. Yuya suddenly gets a notification about evolving, and he suddenly starts to glow. His appearance doesn't change, but it seems he has gained a number of new skills. The next day, Yuya takes part in the table tennis competition, and the chief tells him to put on a good show for them. His opponent is actually the national champion known as the Sniper, and he delivers a devastating serve that even Yuya misses. But comparing it to the boar he faced, Yuya easily returns the next serve, even making a hole in the table, but he forfeits the match, not wanting to injure anyone, and the photographers complain he moved too fast for them. Kaide drags Yuya off to play volleyball, because one of their members got injured, and the chief follows after him. As the match begins, everyone is left shocked, as the ball pops, and the court is completely destroyed. The opposing team instantly gives up, and the chief finds they missed the shot again, because the photographer